What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a weekly gaming news show, the podcast where two seasoned video game playing veterans talk about the gaming news for the week. And this show is for the week that ended in November the 4th. Is that when we ended? On Saturday or?
Yeah.
Okay,
so weekend in November 4th.
Yep, yeah, Saturday. So the week ending November 4th. We're coming to you guys a little bit late because of some technical issues, but we hope that you didn't miss us too bad, because we are here and we're ready to talk about the news. We have a lot of stories that we want to address, a lot of important topics that we want to talk about. But before we get into all of that, we're definitely going to start off with our weekly icebreaker. And if you're new to the podcast, you don't know what the weekly icebreaker is. It's just a question that we like to ask between the two of us, or a panel if one's available. And we just get a sense of where we are on certain gaming topics. So if you ever want to submit a question to us, you can do so via our social media. Links are down in the description and also displayed on the screen here. Send us a question. Use the hashtag weekly icebreaker and it will be answered and discussed live on the podcast. I think that's actually a really cool way to get you guys involved. And so, yeah, let's get into it. This week's question was brought to you by yours truly. And so we're going to go ahead and get into it. So this week, I want to ask the question, what are the pros and cons of pre-ordering? Because they like to make it seem like there's a lot of benefits of pre-ordering, but as we know, there are a lot of negative effects from pre-ordering. And Boogie, you have a very specific story, which is why I wanted to ask this question. So I'm going to just let you take it away, and then I'll give a story that I have.
Okay,
afterwards.
So I'm pros and cons. The pros of pre-ordering is, so you're supposed to guarantee having a product, right?
Right.
I think in this day and age, when it comes to pre-ordering for, at least in gaming, the only thing that's really worth pre-ordering anymore is maybe our systems.
Right.
There's no reason to pre-order games, especially, like, again, for me, I buy my games digitally, so it's not going to be out of stock, right? Digital games don't go out of stock. The only benefit for pre-ordering a game that you're going to buy digitally is if you're getting some kind of pre-order bonus.
Yeah, or like a special edition or something like that. Because I didn't even think that was a thing, like digital special editions where you get the game, but then like they'll send you the special edition stuff. Like if it's a statue, they'll send that to you in the mail later. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, or if you like, when you sometimes you pick them up in the store, and instead of the game disc, you just get the
voucher code or whatever,
like a Steam code or Xbox Live or PlayStation code. Yeah, right. But it's mainly to guarantee you get a product, especially like this special run. Now, to talk about my story, we know today is November the 7th. November 7th is Xbox One X Day, and everybody that's listening to the show knows that the first day became available for pre-order. I pre-ordered from Best Buy. I picked Best Buy because I'm a Platinum Club member. I get the Best Buy points. I wanted the points so I can add it up and use it to buy an accessory, whatever. So I got a email that said my order is not going to be available for pickup. I called and they told me, well, we didn't get enough for you to have your Xbox One X. So I'm not getting it today. So it totally defeats the purpose of pre-ordering. And on top of that, this is another kind. If you pre-order and you get holes, now I'm behind the 8 ball, because now I reordered. I ordered from Amazon. I'm fuck Best Buy. Never shopping there. Well, I won't shop there for a long ass time.
They on punishment.
Never, but it's going to be quite a while before I give them any of my money.
Right.
But yeah, so I had to pre-order I ordered from Amazon, and now, because it's been sold out, the first available is saying is November 12th. So 5 days from now. What's 12th? The 12th is what? Saturday? Sunday?
The 12th is next Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the
Sunday coming up.
Yeah, that's the first time they're saying that it'd be available. So, I placed the order on Amazon, and we'll see what happens there. My biggest issue with it is I pre-ordered the Project Scorpio edition with my little green lettering, and I'm not going to get it. So, again, if they work out the way they're supposed to, and the person you're pre-ordering from doesn't screw you over, is good, especially for getting systems. That's how a lot of people got their Switches to begin with. You stay up all night to get your Switch. Yeah. That's how a lot of people get, that's how you get the special editions. But if you're just buying a run-of-the-mill game, you just want to buy the game. Like, I want to get Battlefront 2, right? I'm not pre-ordering that. I'll get it when I get it. It's no need, in my opinion.
Right, yeah, and I agree with you on the pros. Like, it's basically just to guarantee a product, and in this day and age, you don't really need to guarantee like a game, especially if you're going digital. If you're going physical, I don't know. I haven't heard of an instance of a game selling out of a GameStop, or like people searching around for like the latest Call of Duty. Like that happened back in maybe like a decade ago.
Yeah,
where.
Like the first two Modern
Warfares, those things were selling like hotcakes. And like if you went to a GameStop and you didn't have a pre-order, like you weren't getting the game that day. So that was a thing of the past. Nowadays, pre-orders are mostly for consoles. Just to ensure that you get it at launch. But another con that I see in pre-ordering is, and then we talked about this before on a previous podcast, the pre-order bonus. Like where they'll section off or ration off additional content of a game, so that you can like pre-order from a specific vendor. So like for instance, Street Fighter V had pre-order bonuses for like 5 different retailers, and like that content didn't become available in game until a lot later. And I believe you had to pay like actual money instead of the virtual like currency or whatever they have in Street Fighter V or Fight Money. You couldn't buy that content with Fight Money for quite some time. So like if you wanted the alternate Ryu costume, you had to get it at GameStop. If you wanted the alternate Cammy costume, you had to get it at Best Buy. And I don't know. I think that's a very, very bad way to kind of just like section off content from a game, because a lot of people want all the content,
Right. Yeah, I hate that. You see it all the time with GameStop, and you see it with Best Buy, and even with Amazon. Right. Pre-order from us, and you get the skin, or you get this loot box, or whatever.
Right.
I think that's nonsense. A lot of times when I see stuff like that, I don't buy games on PlayStation because of their console exclusivity.
Right.
If it's multi-plat, I see that, I don't support that, and I don't support those pre-order bonuses either.
Like
so I won't participate.
Little like pre-order incentives, but like, and you know what? I don't mind it if it's like, okay, just pre-order the game and you get this. But when they section it off between different vendors, like I think that may have been the first time that I ever seen it done like that, where if you got it on Amazon, it was something different. And it was like, well, what if I want everything? There's no I want everything option,
Right.
So that's the only other negative effect from pre-ordering that I can see. But I mean, the pre-orders have been, and I mean, I worked at a GameStop, so pre-orders have have been like a major thing in the retail market for quite some time, and they're coming up with ways to keep it relevant, because like you said, like a lot of people aren't pre-ordering or don't need to pre-order, especially if they're going digital. Like nobody pre-orders digital versions anymore, for the most part, and unless you're getting like some kind of like legendary edition or something like that, I don't really see the need for it. So in order to keep it relevant, keep that continuous stream of money coming in for a game that isn't even out yet, they're coming up with these freaking little schemes.
Yep.
So I don't know. Those are the pros and cons of pre-ordering, in our opinion. We would love to know your opinion. Let us know down in the comment section. Hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. Give us your opinion. Let us know. Are you a fan of pre-ordering? Do you pre-order regularly? Or is it something that's like a thing of the past? You haven't pre-ordered in a while. What was the last game that you pre-ordered? Let me know. That could be like another weekly icebreaker. The last game you pre-ordered. But yeah, so that was our weekly icebreaker. And again, you can submit questions to us via our social media. But let's go ahead and move. What's up?
Before you cut off, I do. There is one pro to pre-ordering on digital. Now I just thought about this. Is the preloads.
Preloading.
If you pre-order, it preloads, and that's useful, especially if it's something you want to play on launch day. Like when Destiny came out, I had that pre-ordered. Once it launched, I got like a quick couple of megabyte update, and I was ready to go. It took like 2 minutes,
right?
As opposed to like 30 minutes downloading and installing an entire file.
Right. That is another benefit. I agree with that 100%. The only time is when it doesn't work, i.e. Mortal Kombat X, because that was a freaking disaster on PC. But that's a story that we already talked about. Yeah. I've told that horror story before. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the next segment of the podcast, and that's going to be this week's quick hits. And the quick hits are just little lightning round stories that we want to discuss with you guys, but don't necessarily deserve the deep dive. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Boogie, I'll let you go ahead and start with the first one. What's up?
The first one is a Nintendo Switch story. LA Noir, which is coming out soon. When is it coming out? It's
I don't remember when it's coming out, but I know
it's this month, I believe. Anyway, it's coming out soon, and we found out that you definitely are going to need a November 14th, so it's next week, next Tuesday.
Okay.
So it's coming out next Tuesday, and you absolutely are going to need a SD card if you want to buy this game digitally.
Right.
You can buy it on cartridge, but even when you buy it on cartridge, it's going to be a 14 gigabyte download to accompany the game. The game in total runs 26 gigabytes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, 29 gigabytes. And the Nintendo Switch only has 32 gigs of internal memory, of which 6 of that is being used for the OS, the system software.
Right.
So it's essentially only have 26 gigabytes of internal memory on a Nintendo Switch, and that's -3, or you only have 12 gigs left if you decide to play it on the cartridge. And I said this before, 32 gigabytes of storage on any device like that is woefully inadequate. Come on, really? That's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's not the first game. They had to have that with NBA 2K.
Yep.
Where you absolutely need a memory card to be able to play the game in its full extent. And it's, Nintendo Switch, for all the love it's getting, it definitely has some glaring issues.
Yeah, there's some major flaws with this console, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that later on in the show. But I don't know. I'm guessing that Nintendo is in the mindset that everybody has external memory. Because to be honest, we do. I have an external hard drive for both my Xbox One and my PlayStation 4.
But you can't use that with a Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch is not compatible with external hard.
Well, no, not that it's compatible with external hard drives, but I'm just saying people are not new to going out and buying external memory.
Yeah, but the problem I have with that is, for you to get something even a 500 gigs SD card is almost as much as a Switch. Right, so the standard you're going to be getting is 64 or 128. That's not enough. That's not enough memory. And I've seen people read, Nintendo Super Mario Odyssey doesn't use that much space and blah blah blah. But Super Mario Odyssey isn't as huge as it is compared to other Mario games. No. It's not huge like LA Noir. It's not huge like some of these other games, 2K, NBA 2K, some of these other games out there as far as assets and just total amount of information that's on the game. So that's not an apples to apples comparison. And
right, with that being a Nintendo first party Nintendo property, they're gonna optimize it so that it doesn't, come on, looking at you go out and buy a Mario Odyssey, you look at the back of the case and it says freaking SD card required. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that for one of their own games. No, exactly.
I've also been seeing people saying it's kind of Rockstar's fault because of the memory card, the cartridge that they use. Yeah. Apparently, there's different cartridge size. They could have used the largest cartridge. It seems like they're using the 16 gigabyte one, where they could have actually used. I guess they have a 32 version.
Okay.
But again,
for the actual game itself.
Yeah, for the game cart, so you don't have to have the download. But I'm not going to blame Rockstar because they're in the business. It's cost them extra money for them to do that. Right. They don't have that expense from Sony or Microsoft, and on top of that, it's not as if these carts are standard cartridges. They're Nintendo proprietary cartridges,
right? So they're paying Nintendo for that.
Yeah, they're paying Nintendo for that. So they're already paying Nintendo to put the game on the Switch itself, and then they got to pay for the media too. Is they're double dipping. I don't blame Rockstar.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Yeah, because they're double dipping with that, and then who's to say that this game will even sell on the Switch?
Exactly.
Why would they go out of the way, pay extra money, for a larger game cart when if you're a Switch owner and you want the game, you'll do what you have to do to play it on the Switch.
And again, this is a re-release game too, so they won't keep the price $39.99. It can add anywhere from $5 to $10 to the price of price of the game. So from now you're looking at where I can get it on Xbox or PlayStation for $40. I got to pay $50 to get on the Switch. Why do I got to pay more for an inferior version? So I'm not going to blame Rockstar for using the smallest memory card available. It's Nintendo's fault. There's no question, because again, 32 gigabytes of internal memory on a gaming system is wholly inadequate.
Yeah. It goes against every norm in the industry. I mean, dude, we haven't seen that small of a cartridge size since the original Xbox 360s, stuff like that.
Right.
So I don't know. I can't really blame Rockstar for that. But I mean, anybody that wants this game is probably not going to get it on the Switch.
Yeah, probably not.
That's the reality of the situation. But let's go ahead and let's move on to the next quick hit. What we got?
The next one is Microsoft Xbox One X story. This is really a quick one. A question came over Twitter. I was on the Xbox's Netherlands Twitter account, and somebody was asking them about 1440 support and 1440p monitor support. And Xbox One X will have it natively. All you have to do is plug in the Xbox to your 1440p monitor. The Xbox One X will recognize it and output a signal as appropriate, which is kind of cool. I know a lot of people play, especially a lot of streamers and a lot of the people that are going to want the Xbox One X are going to want to play on a monitor as opposed to a TV. So that having that support native into the system is pretty nice.
Yeah. I mean, quick story. Not too much else to go on with that one. Let's go ahead and just move on to the next one.
PUBG. Is finally getting its release date on Xbox One. It's going to be coming out in December 12th, I believe is the date. And yeah, they need to hurry up because apparently their biggest competitor just got over 880,000 concurrent users for
oh my God, man.
Fortnite. So
yeah.
this battle royale genre is really heating up, and PUBG's got to hurry up and get out there. So on December 12th, if you are a PUBG fan, you will be able to play it on your Xbox.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because it's not cross-play or anything like that, correct?
I believe it is actually. No, wait, no, maybe not.
Yeah, I was like that'd be highly unfair.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know, man. It just looks like Fortnite just can't be stopped right now. Like they have been growing at an exponential rate, and I think it has to do with the fact that the the battle, or was it not battlegrounds, but battle royale mode it's free.
Yep.
You don't even need the original game for it.
Right, and PUBG is going to be free, from my understanding. Is going to support in-game purchases, but the problem with it is console players are fickle, and a lot of times they live in a silo, right? So a lot of console players may know of PUBG and may have been played it and may have heard of it and wanted to play it. But now that Fortnite's out, they're like, well, I got Fortnite. What's the point of playing PUBG? And that it's still in their thunder,
Oh yeah, definitely came out of nowhere and stole their thunder, especially on console.
Right.
Because PUBG, I mean, it's been an exclusive to PC for so long, and it does have a large following and a large player base. One of the highest streamed games on Twitch and all that. But as far as console, like Fortnite came out of seemingly out of nowhere.
Right.
And just made the case like, yo, we can do this too, and we will, and we are.
Yeah.
And they've been promoting, like once they reach a threshold, they put it out there, posting it to their Twitter account, like, yo, we got people playing our game. So we'll see how PUBG fares once it releases on console, and I believe it's only on Xbox One.
Right now, it's only on Xbox One. Apparently, they are in talks to get it on the PlayStation, but right now it's an Xbox One console exclusive.
Console exclusive coming out on
December 12th.
December 12th. So yeah, we'll see, man. Let's hope that they can recapture that lightning in a bottle on console the same way that they did on PC. Because right now, Fortnite is killing it.
Yep. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. All right, so we have one more quick hit for you guys. Let's go ahead and get into that. And this is actually a story that I can cover myself, because Sonic Forces just released today. Actually, just came out today. But before its release, it was stated by Sega that they would not be giving out any review copies of the game. Now, usually when you don't want to give out review copies, that means that there's something wrong with your game. What's it called? Sega, they did come out with a statement saying that the game had a day one patch, and they didn't want anybody to get any negative impressions of the game before the patch went live, which happened at launch. So they didn't want to give anybody the game pre-launch. But I don't know. I haven't actually got to play the game yet myself, because on Steam it did not release at midnight. So I purchased it like yesterday at like 8 o'clock, and I was like, okay, I'll wait a few hours and then I'll be able to play. Nope, went to the store page after I purchased it, of course, and it said it wouldn't be out until 11 this morning. So it just released on Steam a few hours ago.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, they usually don't do that, but according to Steam, it's up to the developer. They choose when they want to release it, what time it goes live. So I'll definitely be playing a lot of this game. So we'll see if it was justified or not for them to hold back the review copies, because just from what we've seen in the past, withholding review copies is not good for press or whatever. It's bad press.
It's bad press, and I've noticed it. There seems to be a bit of backlash from when reviews are held back. It seems like the reviews are a little rougher.
Yeah, like if you don't give the review copies, like they tend to be a little more, like a little harsher. They tend to scrutinize a little more when you don't give them the review copies. I mean, because in the video gaming review business, or whatever the hell you want to call it, I mean, it's all about being first. So if IGN gets it first, they're gonna have the first impression, and then like a lot of people will see that review and like they'll base their opinion off of that to a certain extent. When everybody's on the even playing field, it's like a race to get your opinion out there as quickly as possible. So maybe that's it. But I hate. We're gonna have to talk about this one day in the icebreaker or long form. Freaking like review. I hate that. I hate it. I hate that when I purchase a game, there's somebody out there that has already like beaten it, completed it
way before you had a chance.
Way before I even had a chance to touch it. And as a small content creator on YouTube, it's even worse, because I'll put out an episode a day, but somebody already has the whole game up at launch. So it's like, what's the point? It's like it pisses me off on a different level. But we could talk about that in another podcast. But what I did want to mention was that even though Sega said that they weren't giving out review copies, people got their hands on the game. Because the street date was actually broken, and a lot of like mom and pop stores, like corner stores and stuff, were selling the full game, like for all consoles. Like you could just pick it up, alongside a bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. You could just like go to the store and play. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty weird. Somebody from a really popular Sonic news website, TSZ or something like that. Sonic News Zone or something like that. One of the moderators, he posted to Twitter like, street date confirmed has been broken because I went in the store and I bought Sonic Forces. So it's a little weird, but I'll withhold my judgment of the game until after I've played it, which will probably go down after this podcast. But that was our quick hits for this week. Let us know what you think on this story or any of the stories that we talked about during the quick hit section. Also, if you ever want to submit a story to us, you can do so via our social media. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. And that is the top 5 news stories for the week. But before we get into that, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Everything okay?
Yeah, I'm the feed froze. So I'm just getting back up. Yeah.
You want to wait, or is it on?
No, just keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor. I hope I have the picture because everything is just dead. And it's not here. Give me a sec. Okay. Yeah, so quick shout out to our sponsor, the New Challenger Discord. If you go over to newchallenger.gg, you can get good at your favorite fighting game with your favorite character, because the New Challenger Discord is a vast and vibrant community full of video game enthusiasts, fighting game enthusiasts, I should say. And they have lots of players and lots of people that are willing to show you the ropes in Street Fighter V, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Injustice 2, Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat X, you name it. Plenty of communities with the promise of future games like Dragon Ball FighterZ to be added to the list of games. I do plan on being a part of a very active member once that goes live. So yeah, go over to newchallenger.gg and get good at your favorite fighting game. Also, make sure that you hit them up on Twitter at newchallenger.tv, because they do post videos and links and stuff. They also are on Twitch, and they have weekly shows on top of the bi-weekly tournaments that they have for both North American and European audiences. So again, that is newchallenger.gg. Go ahead and join the Discord and let them know that True Sonic sent you. Big shout out to Mr. Vinegar, who is the founder of the New Challenger Discord, and also a huge shout out to Mount Lover, who is not only a commentator for the North American tournaments, but he is a mod and a coach for Street Fighter V. So let's go ahead and get into the top 5 news stories. Now, we have a lot that we're going to talk about this week, but the first one that we're going to address is what everybody was talking about last week, and that was Sony's announcements at the Paris Games Week conference. Now, this is actually the first time that I've actually heard of Paris Games Week. Yeah, but apparently it's been going on for a while.
For a couple of years. Yeah, this is the first time I've heard it. I guess it's maybe the first time they've really put a lot of marketing into it too. Because I haven't before this year. I hadn't heard anything, because last year was all about the PlayStation experience,
right?
In December. So this is something else they've added.
Right. So a lot of announcements and a huge showing for the indie community. Like, there was a lot of indie games that were announced. We're not going to go over all of them. We have a short list of games here that we do want to address. But if you want the full list, we'll leave links down in the description or on the show notes so that you can see everything that was announced for yourself. So let's just go down this little quick list that we have here and talk about some of these games and give our first impressions of them. The first one that I want to talk about is Spelunky 2. Now, did you play the first Spelunky at all?
I did not play the first Spelunky. No.
Okay, the first Spelunky was freaking awesome, and it was an Xbox Live arcade game, which is and this is actually interesting. A lot of these games were Xbox console exclusive games for quite some time,
right?
And now they're changing.
They flip sides, right?
They're flipping, switching up on us and going over to PlayStation, at least for the initial launch. But Spelunky 2 takes place after the original game. It seems like the main character, whose name was Spelunker, settled down, had a family, and now their daughter wants to splunk as well. And if you've never played Spelunky, it's a 2D side-scrolling kind of like tomb raiding game. I don't really know how to describe it. I mean, I think the genre is literally called Splunker or something like that. But it's super fun, and it's super challenging as well. You go through each stage. You have to collect gold and find treasures, but there's lots of traps everywhere, and you want to increase your score by saving the damsel in distress, but you could also do things like sacrifice people at like different like tombs. You can set off traps to kill like merchants so that you can like steal the gear that they have for sale instead of buying it. So it's really fun, and I really like the game. Was there anything that caught your eye, Boogie?
Something that was a bit odd. Guacamelee 2. Guacamelee. I played that on Xbox. It was fun. It got a little bit repetitive and boring for me about halfway through, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. And that was the Xbox One arcade game. I believe at one point it was even a live games with gold game.
I think so, but this was actually one of the first games that I owned on my Xbox One.
Really,
Guacamelee, yeah, the first one. And
it's definitely a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. I found it funny that, or odd that it just jumped ship to go exclusive to PlayStation. But something I noticed on this PlayStation experience, or excuse me, the PlayStation's Paris week, is remember during E3. Sony showed a lot of their big hits, their big exclusives, but not a lot of indies. And Microsoft showed a ton of indie games, and a ton of PC ports coming. And it seems like this may be like PlayStation answer to that, right? It's like, okay, we do indies too. We are an indie platform, and to be fair, PlayStation has been doing indies, and they've been doing them great for a while. It's just that they haven't been publicized as much. They haven't marketed as much, and this may be their step on to showing, hey, we have indie developers. We love our indie developers, and look at all of the great indie games we have that's only going to be on PlayStation. Because there are quite a bit.
Oh yeah, there's quite a bit, and I think like the huge indie showing. It has to come with the fact that, you know, a lot of these like AAA titles have not been doing as well as they have in the past.
Right.
Like I think that plays a major part in it. I mean, because like a lot of the games that I'm currently playing are indie games or games that were like Kickstarted or stuff like that. I've been playing games like Divinity 2, and like. I mean, that's pretty much it. But that was a Kickstarter game,
right? And we talked about this. It's just a lack of creativity in the AAA titles. Everything is a sequel or a ripoff of somebody else's property.
Exactly. And then with the hyper insertion of these like negative aspects of mobile gaming, like microtransactions, loot boxes, and stuff. Death Road to Canada. That's another game that I was playing. What's it called? I think that these AAA titles are just like not like hitting the same market like they used to. You know, people aren't having fun with them. Like just look at Mass Effect Andromeda, a game that everybody was anticipating, but got like the worst scores out of any game in the series. Like I didn't think that was possible after Mass Effect 3.
Exactly. It's just like they don't. They're more. The big publishers are more about monetizing the game as they are opposed to actually making a good game that's creative, and fresh. I mean, everybody's doing the sequels. Even this big new EA title that's coming out, Anthem, which looks amazing, is kind of a ripoff of Destiny, right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah, I mean, there's even problems with that. We could talk about that in another podcast, but some stuff happened this week. We'll address that in another time, though. But getting back on topic here, another game that was showed off that actually looks really cool, and I believe this is another indie title, is the Hong Kong Massacre. That game looks fun as hell.
Yeah, it was interesting. I couldn't. I don't know. It definitely looked really, really interesting.
Yeah,
definitely looked interesting. I don't know what to really think about it, but
I mean, it has like a cyberpunk vibe, and it reminds me of like the top down like hyper violence that Hotline Miami had. If you've ever played that game,
the original GTA, right? Because the original GTA was top down.
Yeah, exactly. That game actually isn't coming to PS4 until next year. So we'll have to wait a little bit for that. But they also showed off some VR games because, you know, the PlayStation VR just came out with its, I guess, Mach 2 version. So they did show off some VR games. None that I'm super impressed with. Blood and Truth looked okay. But other than that, they did show off that Final Fantasy is getting another expansion. They showed off some gameplay. The last expansion. So they showed off some of that. But overall, I think that this was actually a pretty good showing, especially if you are a fan of indie games, which I have definitely become a fan of. You know, playing games like Fight and Rage and Doki Doki Literature Club. That's another indie game that I played during the Halloween stream. But yeah, man, I think indies are the new AAAs because they're like these indie companies. They're the ones that are hungry. They're the ones that are putting in the work. They're the ones that, you know, want to make a name for themselves, you know, because everybody that's plays Call of Duty, they're gonna buy the next Call of Duty.
Yeah,
you know, exactly. they may not like it as much. It may not, you know, have every single feature that they want in it, but you know, Call of Duty is gonna sell. You know, Halo, Gears, it's gonna sell. But I mean, I don't know. I just have not found myself having fun with a lot of the AAAs as of late. I think the last AAA that I actually like was excited about and bought was Horizon Zero Dawn. And you know, I was so shocked and surprised that they didn't have any kind of DLC, like, you know, at launch. They didn't they didn't have any kind of like special edition or any kind of season pass or nothing like that. And I was like, since when do AAA games not have all of that? You know, it was weird. So we're definitely seeing a rise in the indie scene, and I can't wait to get my hands on some of these games. Yes, Splunky 2 is going to be the jam.
Right, and that's moving on to some of their big titles. They showed more of Marvel Spider-Man, which still looks awesome.
Oh yeah.
They showed that Last of Us trailer was brutal.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Kids away when you watch that trailer. That thing is brutal.
Yeah, I forgot for a second just how violent The Last of Us is compared to other Naughty Dog games like Uncharted. Like Uncharted has like guns and shooting, but it's not as like visceral.
Yeah. That you had to take a step back, and then they announced a new game from is it Insomniac? Who was it that did Infamous? It's not Insomniac. Oh god.
Infamous? That's god, I don't remember. Let's see. I can look it up. Infamous. Who made these? Oh, that's Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch, yeah, the new game from Sucker Punch. The Ghost of Tsushima. Did you see that?
That looks pretty real.
That looks pretty good. And then another nonsensical exclusive beta for Monster Hunter World.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World. Yeah.
Whatever. Go somewhere.
Getting the exclusive beta.
Yeah, yes. And then a lot of people were big on this Ure game.
What's that?
Ure. Yes, Oure. Okay. A lot of people were big on that. It didn't seem that interesting to me. It's like one of those adventure games. Think about what was that one game they had where it's like the real artsy one where you were walking around in a Journey. It's like on the lines of Journey. Yeah. And then they showed some Shadow of Colossus, which looks beautiful, but I mean it's an old game.
I mean it's Shadow of the Colossus. I mean if you haven't played it, like definitely play it. But it's like I'm not buying that again. Sorry, bro.
And then Detroit. Almost Human, I think it's called. That they still haven't convinced me of anything with that.
I mean, it looks visually it's stunning, but
it doesn't look like an interesting game to play.
No, not at all. Didn't they show? Oh, they showed off something else. I had it and then I lost it, but they showed off a lot.
Yeah, they showed some more God of War.
Oh yeah, the God of War. Yeah.
Yeah, then they showed the Horizon Zero Dawn expansion, which looks amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, that actually launched today.
Yep.
On the 7th. So if you haven't, if you have money, go ahead and get it. I don't have money, so I'm a little upset.
Yeah, but it just as a PS Plus subscriber, when you decide to get it, you're getting a discount.
20% off. So that's not bad. But anything else that caught your eye?
No. Other than that, I mean, that Last of Us, like that was when I saw that, I was like, I had to take a step back for a second.
I was like, oh,
yeah, that was brutal.
It was a little messy.
Right, the Guacamelee 2, that really caught my eye. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's gonna get me back into it or not. But other than that, I mean, it's just a lot more of the same. But like I said, a big push into indie games, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm happy with what I saw. But yeah, like we said earlier, if you want to see the full list, we'll have links down in the description that you can check out. And let us know what was your favorite moment from the Paris Games Week, or at least Sony's showing from that. Let us know what your favorite announcement or trailer was. I'd be very happy to know. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our next story, and we are talking about EA Games.
Let's beat up on the Switch some more.
Okay, so EA Games basically came out with a statement saying that they are stepping back from the Switch, or that they're not convinced that producing games on the Switch is beneficial for them. Now,
basically, what they say, they want to determine what the actual demand is.
Right.
And EA has only released, as far as I know, one game, which was FIFA 18, right? Was it more?
No, I guess not. No, because they have NBA Live. Did that come out on the Switch?
No, nope. Yeah. NBA Live. Only thing that I've seen that come out from EA was FIFA 18.
Yeah.
And FIFA 18 came out gimped as far as online play. It didn't have the full story mode, and it seemed to me as if the Switch really couldn't handle it, either from a power perspective or just a space perspective. It could be going back to this only 32 gigs of hard drive space for a game like FIFA. I mean, I'm sure that game is 50, 60 gigs easily. And it could go to the point where it's just that Switch doesn't have the hardware to perform the way they want the game to perform. And then again, like you said, and I've said this, the Switch, in my opinion, is not a primary system. And
it's definitely a side system.
Right, and as such, nobody's going to buy their top AAA titles on the Switch. People are going to buy them on. People either are going to have a PlayStation, or they have an Xbox already, or they have a PC, or they have all of it. And when it comes to FIFA, when it comes to LA Noire, when it comes to Doom, when it comes to those games, they're not going to buy it on the Switch.
Right.
The reason they got to Switch is to play Mario, is to play Zelda, is to play Splatoon, and those games will sell like gangbusters. Yeah, the only game that's not a first party game that actually sold really well and was received well was Mario plus Rabbids, which is an Ubisoft title.
Ubisoft game.
But it is a Mario game, and when Mario's in the title, it's going to sell on Nintendo.
Yeah, and it's super weird because gaming developers, they haven't done what Nintendo is kind of forcing them to do in a long time, and that is make a separate version of the game for their console. Like nobody's really doing that no more.
And they're the way the studios and these publishers are optimized, they're optimized not to do that. And Sony and Microsoft brought their development tools closer together. Actually, it was Sony because Microsoft didn't change anything. Sony took it off of their proprietary whatever. I think they were like running like off a PowerPC type system, and they moved it closer to an x86 type kit, more in line with PC and Xbox. And that makes it a lot easier for a developer to develop games across all of those systems, PS4, Xbox One, and PC, versus having to develop on those three and then step aside and develop something totally different and separate on the Nintendo Switch.
Right, because that was a main reason why the PS3 suffered for such a long time, is because it was so difficult to develop on it. It was difficult to port games over. But with the Switch, depending on the type of game that you're getting, you're not making a port. You have to recreate the game. You have to make something completely different, because it's not going to have the graphical fidelity as the other consoles. You have to compensate for the fact that it has a handheld mode and on-screen TV mode. You have all of these different control inputs, like the Joy-Cons, and Nintendo wants you to use that. Online is not really a thing on the Switch, or at least matchmaking isn't.
Right.
There's no like in-game chat. There's no party system. So like, there's a lot that you have to consider when you want to just bring a game over.
Right.
Like it only seems to work, you know, 1-to-1 if it's like a first-person shooter and you're only getting the single-player campaign.
Right.
But if you're getting any type of like multiplayer game, any type of sports game, you're gonna come into some issues. And you know, we talked about FIFA and how it's essentially a watered down version of the Xbox and PlayStation version. Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what it is. And when they were you know, asked by reporters as to why there's no online, they said because the Switch doesn't allow for it.
Right, it doesn't support it. Doesn't have. They specifically said it doesn't have the infrastructure. If I remember correctly.
Right.
And that's, I mean, that's a problem. And again, in this day and age, every game is online, and there are games that are persistently online. When you look at something like a Destiny, when you look at something like a Anthem that's upcoming, when you look at something like a PUBG or battle that Fortnite we just talked about. Yeah. When you look at those type of games, online is a major component. And even when you're looking at these sports games, FIFA, Madden, NBA 2K, NBA Live, people want to play online with or against somebody. And if you can't do that easily, you're missing out on a large portion of the game. And I understand where EA is coming from. And this isn't new for Nintendo, where they've released systems where only their games sell and nobody else's does.
Right. And just going back to FIFA for a second, I mean, the campaign is only a small fraction of what FIFA is all about, and then they don't even have that.
Nope.
So and it's like, what is the point?
It's actually a pretty good campaign, even, which is sad, but it is what it is. I just think, for all of the love Nintendo's getting, this is starting to remind me of the Wii. Remember when the Wii came out? Everybody's like, the Wii is so great. We love it. We love it. We love it. Down and love it. And they released a couple of big games to go out with it, big first-party games, and it was 100 million sold or however many they sold within the first year. And then next thing you know, it just fell off a cliff because third-party games were inferior. They weren't full. They weren't featureful. And people started realizing, like, if I want to play the game and have a really good experience, I have to play it somewhere else. Right. If I'm not playing Super Smash Brothers, if I'm not playing Mario, if I'm not playing Zelda, there's no point of me playing this system. And I'm afraid the Switch is going to be going that route.
Yeah, I mean, and you can only burn EA but so many times. Just look what they did to Sega.
Oh yeah, they single-handedly killed the Dreamcast.
Well, not single-handedly. It was the PlayStation had a hand in it too.
Yeah,
but
they had a large part. Well,
no. As far as third-party games, yeah.
The Dream, because what happened was EA said we're not doing it, and everybody else followed suit. It's like, well, if EA's not doing it, we're not doing it either.
Right.
And that just got the ball rolling down the hill. Yeah. Because I will say it to the day that I died. The Dreamcast was a fabulous system. It was just as good as the PlayStation was. It just didn't have the support.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But so EA is backing out. They're going to gauge the demand. What did it say, for 12 months?
For a year, yep.
For a year they're going to gauge the demand, and then after that, then they'll decide whether or not they want to bring more games to it, because I'm guessing FIFA didn't sell on the Switch.
But why would it? Because
I don't know.
FIFA, one of its main component is the MUT, right? I mean, the FIFA, all this FUT, right? Because Madden is MUT.
Right.
FIFA is FUT, the FIFA Ultimate Team. And that's an online game. That's an online component. Yeah. If you can't play that, why are you playing FIFA? You can't play that. You can't play the campaign. What's the point? What's the point?
Yeah, I mean, but it's crazy when you think about how many Switches have sold. You know, they've sold a lot of consoles. So when you have all of those consoles,
people are gonna want to get on it.
Well, yeah,
I think the thing that will save the Nintendo Switch as far as third-party support is the fact they are trying to and have been building a strong indie community. And you get those indie games like, a game like Spelunky 2, a game like Guacamelee 2, that'd be great on the go. on the Switch on the go. That's fabulous.
Cuphead, like any of these like little like smaller titles would be excellent on the Switch, but they're not getting them. So and it makes me wonder, how is this thing selling so much? But then Zelda, Mario, Splatoon,
you see how nuts people have gone over this Mario Odyssey game.
Oh my god, like dude, like you would think that Nintendo invented taking pictures and small clips of videos, or like you would think that they invented that just because of how like massive it is. Like we talked about that, was it like last week or the week before, that they kind of like they added it in the recent update
last week. And it's only for like a few games.
Yeah, but Mario Odyssey is one of the games, and you would think that they invented it because people are just going absolutely nuts over the fact that they can upload like little like 30-second or 20-second clips of the game
to social media, which is odd because you don't see that. PlayStation and Xbox have been doing it for years. And if you go through your PlayStation feed or you go through your Xbox feed, I see tons of Overwatch and Fortnite and all these plays that
Halo,
you see those plays, but you don't see them on social media. But for some reason, everybody wants to put Mario on social media. I don't get it, but whatever.
And it's crazy because they'll take that free advertising, but they will not they won't let you do a video on YouTube.
Nope. Nintendo, we've talked about them. Let's move on.
That's enough Nintendo for one segment. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And we are talking about the free PlayStation Plus games for this month of November. Now,
I have to renew my membership.
Oh, really?
I just got the email. I got 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you better hurry up before you lose all the ones that you had.
Well, if it goes once you
reactivate it, you get them back. But still, it was just a joke. Anyway, so the PlayStation Plus games for November have been announced and are available for download. This month on the PlayStation 4, you can get your hands on either you can get your hands on Worms Battlegrounds. Or this other game,
Bound.
I don't know what the heck that is, but Worms Battlegrounds is actually pretty fun. If you've never played the Worms series, it's basically like a turn-based strategy game where you kind of just like destroy. It's like a battle between two players. And you have different worms that have different abilities, and the first one to eliminate the other wins. And it's turn based, and it's actually pretty fun. I actually owned Worms Battlegrounds on the Xbox One. I think it was a Games for Gold quite some time ago because I know I didn't pay for it. But I mean, it's a pretty fun game. I don't know if you have somebody like that you want to. I mean, it has online, so you can play online. I don't know if it's dead or not. But if you have somebody that you can play that with locally, it's pretty fun. So I could recommend Worms. But as far as the other game, I don't know what the heck's going on with that. Do you have any idea?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I have no idea. My research this week was pretty light, because of issues I had going on outside of gaming.
Right.
But I don't know. It looks like some kind of 3D platformer puzzle game. I don't know. It's in a artistic style of like a polygonal type look. I have no interest in it at all. Exactly. Not in the least bit.
Yeah, no.
I don't have any interest in Worms, to be quite honest. The other games were R-Type Dimensions and Ragdoll Kung Fu Fist of Plastic for the PlayStation 3, and then on the PS Vita it was Broken Sword 5 and Dungeon Parks, and Broken Swords 5 is available for play on the PlayStation 4 with cross-buy.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, Sony had come out the past few months with some really good hits. I mean,
this is kind of a miss in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, Worms is an okay game if you're into that, but I wouldn't call this a top. But I would give Sony a pass because the past 3 to 4 months they've come with the fire. So
right.
Let's let that go. And then also there is a bonus title because Sony is promoting their 1 year of VR, so they're giving away Until Dawn: Rush of Blood. That's available starting today, and it's going to be available for free all the way through January 2nd.
Right.
So there's no rush on that. I've been picking up all the VR titles because at some point in the future, near or far, I will get a PSVR.
Boogie. No, but if you've never played Rush of Blood, it's basically like an on-rail shooter.
Yeah.
It's a spin-off of the Until Dawn game, which is like a story-based horror thriller game. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, and this will be available for a while, just like the last VR game was available for a few months.
Yeah, I think that's even still going to be available until the end of this month, I think.
Okay, yeah, so they're definitely pushing these VR games. So go ahead and get your hands on them if you are interested. But yeah, as far as this month's PlayStation Plus games, I'm gonna say this one was a miss. But just like you said, the last 3 or 4 months have been really good. So I can't hate on them too much. But this is definitely these are definitely games that do not deserve my hard drive space. It's very limited these days. So I can say that I will pass on all the titles here.
Yeah, this is probably the first time I'm actually, because I always, even if I don't think I'm going to play, I will always go and get it anyway. But this time, yeah, I'm not going to bother.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next story. And we are talking about loot boxes in Battlefront 2. Loot boxes have been the topic of discussion for a little while now, just because of how they've been implemented over the last couple of years. Right. So with Battlefront 2, there are going to be some changes as to how their loot boxes work. Boogie, why don't you go ahead and explain that?
So initially, the loot boxes started leaning towards a pay-to-play, a pay-to-win type format, whereas there were certain weapons, more powerful weapons, and they have these cards that you get, these upgrade cards that you were able to get out of loot boxes and basically skip progression. If you got them out of loot box, you skip the full progression and get these items, which is a problem because somebody that has a ton of money to spend, you drop a couple $100 on some loot boxes. Day one, you've got all of the great stuff, and you're whipping everybody in right. Star Wars. So they did step back on that, and what they have decided to do is they're going to take out some of the progression based obtainables. And they're taking out loot boxes completely. The only way you can get them is by progressing through the game. They're taking out most of the weapons. There still will be some weapons that are obtainable through the loot boxes, but it's only a handful. Mm-hmm. And they shouldn't be game changing. I don't know. Again, star cards is what the mod cards or the upgradables is what was in the loot boxes as well. But at the end of the day, it's moving the loot boxes more in line to a cosmetic ad as opposed to a gameplay ad. Right. Again, gameplay ads should not be in any game, any premium game. And when I say premium game, if you got to pay
$60
full price for a game, loot boxes shouldn't add to your ability to progress in the game. Like if you're playing something like Warframe, which is free to play, then you're paying for loot boxes and it's a progression in your game. That's one thing. Those freemium games, but for a premium game is problematic. I'm glad to see that they kind of found the error of their ways, but this again is just a toe in the water, and I'm sure down the road that somebody is going to try it again.
Yeah, especially Activision, but that's a story for another day. These changes actually came about because of the feedback that they got from their player base. So, I mean, if you don't like something, you got to voice your opinion, and the way that they've been implementing these loot boxes and loot crates or whatever you want to call them, it has been pretty scummy in my opinion. Like the incentive to buy these things has it just plays on your like impatience. Like if you're impatient, pay a couple dollars, you can get this, and it's like that's not how freaking progressive based gaming is supposed to work. Like I remember Call of Duty, the Modern Warfare series, like when you won matches, you got experience, the experience turned into points, and then you use those points to buy different weapons or prestige or whatever. It's like, give me rewards for playing the game. Don't like let me play the game where like getting the rewards takes like forever if I'm just playing. But like if I get tired of just grinding in a freaking multiplayer game, I can just spend money and get it. Like I don't know. But like you said, this is just a drop in the water. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Right.
But by the way, by the way that Activision is treating microtransactions, and this is probably a story that we'll bring up on another episode as well. I don't see this type of microtransaction loot box system. I don't see it going away unless something major happens. Then we talked about that last week. Like something major needs to happen.
People got to stop spending the money. Stop buying the games that implement these systems. I mean, the games are great. Again, when you look at something like, and I always bring up Overwatch because I think Overwatch does it the best at this point. Yeah. Because they're 100% cosmetic. Is not gameplay affecting. You can get the items in game. It's just whether or not you want to spend the time, the number of hours playing to get the number of loot boxes to get what you want, or if you want to spend a couple of bucks to try to drop, get something out of a loot box that you get the item that you want out of a loot box, right? So I mean that is fine because I don't. There's no pressure for me and there's no added incentive for me to just go ahead and start spending money because I know whether I spend $100 to get this perfect skin I want, or if I just play games and don't get the skin, I'm still going to be able to play the game and be competitive. Whereas if you're buying loot boxes and you're getting upgradables and weapons and stuff, and somebody goes, I spent $100, I can go and I can just wreck shop against a bunch of people that are just trying to play and progress properly. Right. And that's where the problem comes in.
I mean, and even in Overwatch, for the ones that did feel like, okay, well, I'm getting a lot of like repeat items, they changed that.
Yeah,
so you don't get as many like duplicates as you used to. Yeah. So they made it a little easier. So I will say, relatively speaking, that Overwatch does it in the least harmful way. But in my opinion, if you're paying money, you should get what you want. I don't like slot machines. I don't like paying money for a random chance. Like I play like maybe 3 characters in Overwatch. So when I get a freaking costume or a freaking pose for Bastion, I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? Especially if I paid money for it. Like I don't play Bastion, so I don't want that.
Right.
But that's just my opinion. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our last story in the top 5 news stories for this week, and this is the news out of BlizzCon 2017. And there was a lot of news that came out of it.
No Diablo.
No Diablo. I mean, how fucking old is that game? Like,
how old is World of Warcraft?
True. Touche. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started because there's a few things that came out of it. We want to make sure that we address it all. So what's up first?
Super interesting. So first, we just talked about it. It's a game we both play. Well, I play. You have it. I don't know.
I'm like semi-retired. I don't know.
So Overwatch has a new character coming out. Mara. I'm gonna say Mara. The reason I say Mara because my daughter has a friend in school who spells her name this way, and they pronounce it Mara.
Mara. Okay.
There's a new character, Mara. She's a support character. She's a healer. She actually looks super cool to play. She has like a left and right hand. She shoots beams out of her hand. One is a healing beam. One does damage. She also has like little orbs that she'll float around and pass people that will heal them as it goes past or do damage. And her ultimate, she shoots this super long laser beam across the map that'll heal your teammates and damage the enemies. There's no date as to when she'll be available, but she is coming soon. I'm looking forward to a new support character. I don't like the reworked Mercy. Zenyatta is a pain in the ass, and Lucio, his healing power, I just don't like. He doesn't do enough.
It's like area of effect healing instead of like direct healing.
And the problem with Lucio, if you're not playing Lucio, if there's a Lucio on your team, it's most likely they're on Ilios and they're just running around trying to boot people off the map instead of healing. So, so there's that. She looks interesting. I'll be interested to play her, see how she's doing, how she plays. And then on top of that, there is a new map coming called Blizzard World. It's like a theme park, and it has all of Blizzard's has homages to all of Blizzard's IPs.
Right.
So as you go through the theme park, you see stuff from Hearthstone, you see stuff from World of Warcraft. It's super colorful, like any of or most of Overwatch is, of course. It looks fun. It's a hybrid assault and escort map. So it's the one where you first start, you got to capture the point. Once you capture the point, you got to escort the payload.
Right.
So it looks cool. It looks cool. I'm interested. I still play Overwatch. I will continue to play Overwatch. It's like my guilty pleasure, especially when I only have a few, and I just want to maybe spend like 20 or 30 minutes playing something. I know I can get 2 or 3 matches in on Overwatch. Right. So that's cool. I like that. They also did release a short for Reinhardt, which was interesting. It's a young Reinhardt, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, we talked about World of Warcraft,
and it's free. Sorry, I had to.
Oh yeah, and it's free. That's right. all just like every other Overwatch update and character added, they are free. Yep. It should be hitting the PTR soon, and I'm assuming next year sometime. Well, I don't know, because normally these guys have been making it out within 6 weeks, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them sometime in December.
Yeah, it'd be good for the holidays.
Yeah,
especially with those like holiday costumes or whatnot.
Yeah. And on top of that, it'd be good to drum up sales.
Yep.
New characters, get Overwatch for Christmas and play your new characters. Then we talked about this. I think it was this past year. World of Warcraft. There was a grassroots group that was keeping open a OG original World of Warcraft servers. So you didn't have to play with any of the expansions, and Blizzard was like, none of that, buddy, take that crap down.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they understood that people actually want to play vanilla World of Warcraft, and they have announced World of Warcraft Classic, which is going to allow you to play World of Warcraft without all the expansions. It's a turn back. And people have been asking for this for a long time. Like I said, people have been there was groups that were running World of Warcraft servers doing exactly this. They were doing it off the books. Blizzard didn't like it, but
right.
They heard their fans, and this is what they want. It's kind of cool. I applaud them for doing it.
I mean, make the players happy. I mean,
right.
How much does it really cost to like keep some servers open?
Right.
Drop in a bucket, especially if people are paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. So that was cool. I appreciate that they did that. Well, I'm not a World of Warcraft player, so I actually don't give 2 shits. But the people that do were extremely happy. They got a lot of applause and a lot of kudos for that. And then another big thing that came out of there was the StarCraft 2 announcement,
right?
Where they're making StarCraft 2 free to play.
Yes.
You can play through the entire first campaign, and you can actually play ranked ladder matches. The co-op generals will be available up until the first 5 levels. After that, my assumption is you're going to have to pay to unlock them at some point. And some of the expansions or the campaign expansions will also be available, but you have to pay for those. If you're already a StarCraft 2 owner, you will be able to get a what was the Swarm, Heart of the Swarm.
Okay.
You get that for free, which is an expansion apparently. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. BlizzCon is huge now. It started, I guess the first one had about 8,000 people. They had something like 30,000 people this year, and people love the Blizzard stuff. I mean, they had a lot of Hearthstone stuff there. There's expansion coming out for that in January. People are super stoked about. I think there was a ton of stuff. There's a ton of new skins on Overwatch. Now I didn't mention the skins there, but there's a lot of skins, and a lot of the skins are cool because they are they reference or they are tailored after some other Blizzard
IPs,
World of Warcraft in there, some Hearthstone stuff, some StarCraft stuff. It's really cool what they do with their games. It seems like Blizzard, they make a few games, but the games that they make are, one, they're very good.
Very
two,
top notch, yeah.
2, they generate a following, a cult following where, they can support these games, and people support these games for years and years and years. I mean, World of Warcraft, 12, 13 years old? 2004, right? Oh, 2005. So I mean, it's like 12, 13-year-old game.
And I mean, and it's actually really cool because not only do they cater to people that older players, but like if somebody wants to get into World of Warcraft, from scratch, this is like the perfect opportunity.
Right, and they also are going to rework, and I forgot to mention this was another big thing, is they're reworking leveling and progression, where they're going to rework the way leveling works in the world. So now if you're a high level, you can level up and earn anywhere in the world, where before you had the low level areas you wouldn't go to, and you move to the high level areas. Now it's a persistent world, you can go anywhere and be challenged. So I mean, it's a lot of changes.
And I mean, World of Warcraft is probably one of the only monthly subscription MMOs that is like in the game right now.
Well, that ever succeeded, because a lot of people tried pay to play, where you had Final Fantasy and you had Phantasy Star Online, you had the Star Wars game, you had tons of people like, oh, they're doing it, let us try. And none of them were able to catch on. World of Warcraft was the only one, and that's why it's the only one that's still around. Nobody does it. Everybody moved on to the freemium model, free to play with loot boxes and
microtransactions, and that's how they get their money.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of MMOs or anything like that. StarCraft. I'm not a fan of any of these games. I mean, Overwatch. I play Overwatch, but as far as like the strategy games, MMOs, I'm not a super huge fan. But I can appreciate how Blizzard, especially being a subsidiary of Activision, takes care of their player base. I have to commend them for that.
I'm surprised that Activision has left them alone. I thought Activision would come in and
they better leave them alone. Stop playing.
Turn the screws to them. But they really did leave them alone. And the thing is, Blizzard is a cash cow for them anyway. They're like, we bought Blizzard so we can take their profits. We don't really need to mess with them, because World of Warcraft still has that $15 a month subscription that's millions of people still pay for, even people that don't play. I was just talking to one of my cousins. He's been a World of Warcraft player for ages, since he was in high school. And he's like, he logs on it every once or twice a month if he has time, but he said he still keeps up his subscription because he doesn't want to lose his progress and such. I mean, he said at some point he's going to get in, and maybe he wants to go play hardcore, and he's not going to want to start over or lose his stuff, so he pays his $15 a month.
Crazy. But so that was the major news out of BlizzCon. Let us know what you guys think. Are you excited for the new hero of Overwatch? Are you going to get into World of Warcraft Classic? Are you excited or disappointed at the StarCraft going free to play? Let us know what you think down in the comments section, and also let us know what you think on any of the other stories that we discussed today, whether it be this one or the first one. Just let us know what you think. Hit us up on our social media. We're on Twitter or Facebook. Also leave comments down in the comments section on YouTube or wherever it is that you are consuming this media. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get into the next segment. And this is the long form discussion. Now, in this segment, we just take a story or a concept, and we kind of just deep dive into it, give our in-depth opinions on it, and just kind of just see, what we think about it. And today, we want to talk about how important it is to have a third-party support for a console in today's video game landscape, because we did address the importance of third-party consoles, third-party software back when we discussed failed consoles like the Wii U and the Dreamcast.
Right.
But how does that affect consoles today? Let's go ahead and discuss that.
And when we talked about it back then, about the failed consoles conversation, we did come to the consensus that if you have a strong first party IP, you can survive to an extent. And Nintendo's done that. They've been doing it since GameCube, I would say, because GameCube didn't have a ton of. I mean, they had third party support, but again,
not a lot. Yeah,
not a lot. The Wii the third-party support was okay at the beginning, but after a while, people tried to mess with the Wagner stuff. That didn't work, so they walked away from that. The Wii U had next to no third-party support, and that actually failed. But I think it was more of Nintendo's misgivings and missteps than the Wii's lack of third-party support. And now we have the Switch. When we look at the current generation of systems, we have the Nintendo Switch, we have Sony PlayStation, we have Microsoft's Xbox. When we look at those three, Microsoft is almost exclusively banking on third-party support.
Right. If
they didn't have third-party support, there probably would be no Xbox right now, because the first-party support is next to nothing. Where Sony is strong on the first party, and they're very strong on the third party. In fact, they pay for exclusives.
The exclusives.
The console exclusive, either the exclusive games themselves. We're looking at Marvel's Spider-Man. Well, that's being done in house. But what is another?
No, that's Insomniac. That's not.
Oh yeah, Insomniac. That's right.
Insomniac's doing that. So they're paying for an exclusive. Exclusive. But then you also have games like Street Fighter V.
No, Street Fighter V,
which would not have even been developed. Like Capcom has come out and said that we would not have been able to develop this game for a few years if not for Sony's, input.
Right. So you have that, and then you have Nintendo, who just is like, they're just like the hippie, man. They're the hipster. They're just like, I'm just over here doing my thing with my boat shoes and my tight shorts. So, because the Nintendo right now, the Nintendo Switch claim is Zelda, Splatoon, and Mario.
And ARMS. You can't forget ARMS.
Nobody plays that. So the thing is, I mean, when you look at, I'm just looking at sales and sales support, right? So, and then there's Mario versus Rabbids, which is a special case because it's using Nintendo's main IP, which is Mario. Right. So, I just don't think the third.
Go ahead.
Third party support are going to go where they can sell the games at this point. And if they can't sell the game on your platform, they're not going to come to your platform. For all the noise out there, how Microsoft is failing and nobody's buying the Xbox One, what have you, they have over 30 million units out there, and they sell a lot of games. Xbox players, they buy the Destinies, they buy the Assassin's Creeds, they buy the Maddens, they buy the games. So not having third parties are going to support it. And the same thing with PlayStation. They're going to support the PlayStation because they're going to buy the games on the PlayStation. They're going to buy the Destinies. They're going to buy the Anthems. They're going to buy the FIFAs. When you look at Nintendo Switch, nobody's buying third-party games on the Nintendo Switch. And at this point, there's no reason to support it because not only are people not buying the games, it is a pain to get your game on a Nintendo Switch. And it's going to be interesting to see how Nintendo's going to be able to counter that, because as of right now, they're the darlings, and it's because they have Zelda and they have Mario. And next year, next year, right? They're going to have a Metroid, right?
Yeah, I think it's coming out in 2018, yeah.
Yes, but once that stuff dries up, are they going to give us another Zelda in 2 years? Typically not, right?
No, they usually don't do that.
And we probably won't see another Mario in the next 2 or 3 years. So, I mean, the next IPs they will have available would be a Smash Brothers game, maybe if they get a Pokemon on the Switch.
Oh no, they already announced that Pokemon coming to Switch.
So, when you look at it, Nintendo is 100% banking. I don't know how successful they can be.
I mean, they look at the sales figures, man. Like, the Nintendo Switch has definitely surpassed my expectations as far as its initial sales, with the minimal freaking library that it has. So when we look at this topic and how important is third party support, I mean, at least initially it doesn't seem all that important for Nintendo because they're not putting their best foot forward when it comes to providing a platform that is easy for developers to port their games over, because that's what a third party game is. It's a port for the most part, unless they're making something like exclusive or whatever, like a Mario plus Rabbids.
Right.
But when it comes to the multi-platform games, like Nintendo is not going out of their way to make it easy for them to bring those games over.
No.
So like when we just talked about it earlier, when you have a FIFA that comes out, and instead of just making a one-to-one port, EA has to go out of their way, reduce the game, take out things here, take out things there, just to get the game to run, and then it doesn't even sell. It's like, I don't know.
What's the point, right? And,
right. What's the point?
And yeah, and that's where we're coming back. The question is Nintendo going to be able to survive the lack of third party support? Because at the end of the day, when you look at third parties, when you look at the big publishers, the Activision, Ubisoft, EA, and you start looking at what they're doing, they're in it for the money.
Of course.
And if it's cost them extra to make the game on your platform, and on top of it costing extra for them to make the game on your platform, that game's not selling, they're not going to make the games on your platform. And that's essentially what EA said in not so many words. When they sat back and said, well, we're going to take a look and see what the demand is. My guess is FIFA didn't sell worth titty balls.
Yeah, no, that thing, that must have been like a massive flop. And
right.
And how like important FIFA is in the gaming market right now, to not sell on a new console that has sold so many units, that's saying something, man.
Yeah, that's saying a lot. And what it's saying is that Nintendo Switch isn't going to be, the Nintendo Switch fan base aren't going to support third parties.
No.
And again, in my opinion, it is a secondary system. Is not a primary system, and being as such, nobody's going to buy these games on the Switch. And what is the importance of that to Nintendo? Is it very important that Nintendo has EA and Activision and Ubisoft making all their best games for them? I don't know the answer to that. I do know that when you look at Sony and Microsoft, it is a big it's a big part of their strategy, right, to have those big third-party games on their systems. And like I said, I don't know if Microsoft's Xbox One would be successful at all if they didn't have that third-party support.
Right.
Sony less so, because Sony has such a strong stable of first-party games. But again, will they be successful, and will Nintendo be successful? I don't think so. I think down the line at some point, the fire is going to go out. The novelty will
fade.
It will fade. Just like the Wii, where the Wii for the first 2 years was out of control in sales, and then after a while, when people realized they couldn't play or get the games that they really wanted to play on it, they stopped buying them. And this is what you would look at. And I should have and I would like to find out, what is the attachment rate? What is the game attachment rate per system sold?
Okay.
And then to parse that out to what is the attachment rate of third-party titles per system sold? Because if you look at when Nintendo switched back, I think was it March, April it was released. Right. When it was released, there was actually like something like 1.2 copies of Zelda sold to every Nintendo Switch sold, because people were buying multiple copies. People were buying Zelda before they were able to get the Switch because it wasn't available to them.
Right.
But that's Zelda, right? What did that do for Street Fighter 2 that was released?
Or the Bomberman R or whatever.
Or Bomberman R. What did that do for that? Did they sell those at those numbers? What is the attachment rate for a FIFA? What was the attachment rate for Mario vs. Rabbids? What is the attachment rate for I Am Setsuna? What are the attachment rates for those games? Are they selling those games, and are people playing those games after they bought them?
I don't know, man. That's a really good question in itself, because when you just look at some of the first party Nintendo games, those games are played for a very long time, because Nintendo doesn't release them as often as a Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed or right, whatever. Like, I mean, you get a Smash Brothers once per console cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But on the contrary, for like a Call of Duty, you get an announcement for a new game every 6 months.
Right, and even stepping back from that, when you look at first party stuff, when you look at Uncharted was coming out every 2 years, right? Every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
For Uncharted 1 through 4, and when you look at those first party games, Sony especially, they don't typically sit on their IPs for console generations. They usually get 1 or 2 games, at least 2 games out per generation, if not more.
Right.
And like you said, Nintendo's been notorious where 1 Zelda per generation, 1 Mario per generation. At this rate, the next Zelda comes out will be the next Nintendo's console.
Yeah. Or the very end of this console cycle, and they'll release it on this one and the next one. And this is the second time that they've done that, mind you.
Yeah, they did, right?
This is the second time that they've announced a Zelda game for a console and then released the next console.
Yep.
And put it on both. This is the second time they've done that.
They did that for the Wii U, the Wii U.
Yeah, the Wii and the Wii U. Yep. Was that Twilight Princess?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. So I don't know. I would like to see more data. I personally don't think Nintendo is going to be able to maintain if they don't get support from third parties. At the end of the day, this is what's going to happen is the big blockbuster sales right now are big Nintendo people and big nostalgia people. Like, oh my gosh, there's a new Mario. I haven't played Mario so long. I want this Mario. I got to get a Switch to get it.
Right.
Or I wanted Zelda so bad. I love Zelda's probably my favorite game. I got to get a Switch to get it. And they got it, and that's what they got on it. And they're looking around. It's like, well, I have a PlayStation, so I'm getting FIFA on my PlayStation. I have an Xbox, so I'm getting Doom on my Xbox. I've had Skyrim on my Xbox for the past 4 years.
I'm not buying that again.
I don't need Skyrim on my Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's going to be interesting, and like I said, it looks to me as the Wii all over again, where it started out with some good IPs, good ideas, and first party IPs and some good ideas, and everybody's flocking to it. But that luster is going to fade, and once it starts fading, I don't know if there's going to be a place for the Switch.
Right. Yeah. For me, it's a little early. I mean, we've been talking about the Switch so much over the last few months, but the console just came out, so it's really early for me to tell whether or not the Switch overall will be a failure. Everybody likes to talk about the numbers and boast these facts. All over the internet, the Switch has outsold or, sold this many copies, this many units. Mario Odyssey is selling so many units. These numbers are just being posted everywhere. But you can't deny the Switch's initial success. You can't deny it. Launching with a Zelda game was probably the best thing that they ever did. Because during that few months where the only game to play was Zelda, I mean, that was the only game that was selling.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I think they're being very strategic, and they're gonna have to, if they want to continue with this same success rate. They're every few months they're gonna have to just bust out a first party nostalgia ridden freaking game in order. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Let you finish.
No, I'm just saying, they're gonna have to keep this up. We're gonna have to get Donkey Kong in a few months, and then after that, we're gonna have to get another Mario Kart, and then in a few months, we're gonna have to get another Smash. And I don't think that they're capable of doing that.
No, and this is what I'm gonna say about that. At this point, between Zelda and Mario, the people that's going to buy those other games, the Metroids, the Donkey Kong, the Kirbys, and all that
Kirby.
stuff, those people are the same people that bought it for Zelda and bought it for Mario, right? So those people already have Switches, so now they're just buying the games. Now the challenge would be for them to get people that's not interested in Zelda, not interested in Mario. This guy, that's not interested in those games, to say, okay, should I get an Xbox? Should I get a PlayStation? And should I get a Switch? And when you look at the Switch, it's super limited. For $299, you get a console that has no streaming services. You get a console that has extremely limited multiplayer. A console that doesn't have third-party support. A console that's underpowered. Where for $249 now, for $250, $50 less, you can get an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 that plays Blu-rays, has high definition streaming, has in the case of the Xbox One S, because that's the only one available for Xbox, 4K streaming capabilities, and a 4K Blu-ray player for that matter. The PlayStation 4 has the 4 doesn't have has HDR support.
Yeah, the 4 has HDR. Yep.
It has the PlayStation 4 for 4K support. You have to get the Pro, but that's $399. But we're not going to go. We're just looking at the $200, the price point where the Nintendo Switch is sitting. Those are much more compelling. And on top of that, they have integrated online capabilities, full featured online.
Backwards compatibility. In the case
of
the Xbox.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so much more available for the money when you compare the other two systems to the Switch, and
they ain't got that Mario, man.
The third party support is out there. When you look at all of the third party games on the Assassin's Creed, that's not on the Switch. Call of Duty is not on the Switch. Wolfenstein 3D is not on the Wolfenstein 2. Actually, did that come on the Switch? Wolfenstein is on the Switch.
I believe the new one. I don't know if they've released the previous one.
Right.
But the new one, at launch, it came out on the Switch as well.
So you got Madden that's not going to be on the Switch. I mean, tons and tons of stuff that's coming out coming out. Dragon Ball FighterZ, Anthem. I mean, down the line, all these games are coming out. And when you're looking at buying the game, you got to think, well, am I just going to just play Mario, or do I want to play all these other games too? And then if I want to play all these other games too, do I want the system to do more than just play games?
Yeah.
And the Nintendo Switch has the ability for you to take it with you. But again, without those third-party games, if you don't already have a system, and you're not super into, or Mario and Zelda aren't must-haves for you, the benefit of buying a Switch is very, very small.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, if you're not a Nintendo loyalist, like, there's nothing to play on that console. Nothing that you couldn't get on another console that looks way better.
Exactly.
Plays way better. Online functionality, voice chat, like the things that we take for granted on other consoles, like being able to just talk to your friends when they're online,
without
send them a message. Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And these glaring issues with the Switch have been problems that we've addressed at launch, and they still haven't been addressed, but yet it's still selling.
And then not to mention the fact that Nintendo has added a cost to these third-party developers when you look at the cartridge system, because now it costs them extra to distribute their games. They can distribute it digitally, but people with the Nintendo Switch with their measly 32 gigabytes of internal storage don't want to spend $100 on a 256 gigabyte card, are going to want to buy the cartridge. And now that cuts into the profitability of the games for a company as well, because of distributing your game on a cartridge is much more expensive than distributing it on a Blu-ray, is exponentially more expensive than distributing it digitally.
Yeah. And I honestly can't wait until whenever Nintendo decides to make the online cost money. I'm gonna need to see some pitchforks and tiki torches when that happens, because there's no way that Nintendo's online is worth even the small amount that they're charging. It's not worth it.
That's not going to happen, because remember what happened when Sony announced that they were going to be charging for PlayStation Plus? People were like, oh yay!
Well, they got
charging. All right.
That was a sneak. They snuck that in after they said that you could trade your games in at GameStop. Everybody went crazy over that, and then under the applause, oh, you gotta pay for all that.
So the Nintendo loyalists are gonna be like, it's only $20. It's only $20. Yeah, I'm going to pay for it. It's only $20, and I get free because you're supposed to get some kind of free game or access to a free game. My understanding is you don't get
to keep it. You get
you get to play it for a month, and then that's it. And then the next month is another game. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see the reception of it. I think it's
congratulations, you can play Excite Bike for a month. Like, get the hell out of here.
That's a non-starter if you ask me, that Nintendo's online service. Like, whatever. Until I don't have to use my phone to voice chat, Nintendo doesn't have online.
Until they have a game that's online that's fun, that isn't on the Wii U. Like, that's my problem. You're going to make me pay to play Mario Kart 8?
Yeah, or there is Splatoon. Do you even still play that?
Splatoon 1.5. No, I don't play it.
Yeah, me either.
It's boring. It's the same game. It's the exact same game. Yeah, like that Splatoon has the Call of Duty effect, like in its first sequel, where Call of Duty was able to innovate for at least a decade before it got stale.
Yeah, and what was I going to say? Oh, I'm new to Splatoon 2, and I was like, yeah, cool story, bro.
Cool story, bro, but I already own this game. Get out of here.
But yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting. I would love to see somebody, and Nintendo's is notoriously secretive with their numbers. I would love to see what their attach rate is of third-party games.
Yeah, that is a super interesting topic, and maybe if we can get our hands on some of that information, if it becomes available, we can sit down and just like go over it and discuss it. I would definitely love to see some of that. And I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to find. I mean, at least on the Wii U, and I think on the original Wii as well, the system actually kept a record of your like playtime or whatever. So, and I'm pretty sure that's not something that you can actively see on the Switch.
The Nintendo can see it because they can tell.
Of course they can see it.
They can tell when people are playing it on the TV and people are playing it handheld. And apparently, handheld is the most popular way to play the Switch.
Yeah, in Japan.
No, they said they released a presser that said most people play the Switch more handheld than they play on the TV.
They're on the toilet. That's why.
Yep, on the shitter. That's why I play mine.
I think I've taken my Switch out of the dock like maybe a handful of times. But that's just like, I don't know, not for any like particular reason. I don't know. That thing stays in the dock. I don't play it on the go.
Yeah. So the only thing that I find on Nintendo Switch attach rates is Breath of the Wild has 100% attach rate. We talked about that, and then Nintendo's attach rate beats the Wii U in Japan. That doesn't mean anything.
Right.
That means that's nothing. But. I don't know. I lost my thought. I was going to say something about the Nintendo being. What I was going to say is playing the Nintendo on the TV. At least for me, it makes me not want to play it when I play it on the TV
because you have a really good TV,
right? And it's the tricks that they use to try to upscale it are obvious. And the pictures are soft. It's not. It's cool for a cutesy game like Mario versus Rabbids. It's kind of cool, and it's cool for Splatoon because again, that's another
like super cutesy, like stylized
game. But when you start to try to get something to some realistic type game,
I can't wait to see what LA Noire looks like
on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm not going to buy it, but I want to see I can't wait to see those comparison videos on YouTube.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just not interested. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, but let us know what you guys think. Is third party support important? I mean, definitely when it comes to the Switch, we're going to have to wait and see. I think after the honeymoon period is over, the Switch is definitely going to be in some deep doo-doo if they don't get it together or come to some kind of like middle ground with these third-party developers, because the big ones, EA, Activision, they're not gonna play ball with those like 2005 like tactics. They're not making multiple versions of their games anymore. It costs too much money, and it's not gonna sell on their console. So I would like to kind of just bring this discussion to a close. For now, I'm going to say that to Nintendo, it probably doesn't matter to them. because they're selling Switches like hotcakes, and the games that they're selling have a super high retention. Like people are consistently playing those games, and to a certain extent, I have to think that them going from like more linear storytelling to more of like an open world has something to do with that as well. I mean, just look, both Mario Odyssey and Zelda, this is like their first open world games like ever.
Right.
It's something that's never been seen before. So that may have something to do with it. I mean, maybe it was strategic. You like to think that, oh, Nintendo's innovating. Like, no, they want you to keep playing that damn game. So they open it up. You have tons of stuff to explore. I don't know. It's all coming. It's all like, seeming more obvious. Like, okay, of course they would do that. Like, otherwise you beat the game once and it's over.
It's over, right?
It's over. Like, you're going to sell it back to GameStop. But no, like if you have this open world where there's like you can play the game the way you want, you're going to keep playing.
Right. And so, I will close this way. Third-party support is wholly important for all three systems, for PlayStation, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Most important for Microsoft, more important for Microsoft than any of the other two. PlayStation, again, they have their strong stable of indies, first parties. Yep. And if they start losing some third-party support, they still should be okay. But I think the way the PlayStation and the way the Xbox are positioned, that third parties will keep coming to them.
Definitely.
Because of the way they're positioned. I think Nintendo, like you said, as of right now, is not as important. But I think 6, 9, 12 months down the line, the lack of third-party support or the struggle for third parties to get their games on the Switch efficiently and cost effectively,
yep.
It is going to be a problem. And if Nintendo isn't pumping out the first party titles that people are going to flock to, it's going to hurt them. And again, I'm in the position. I'm at the thought that right now Nintendo Switch sales are going to people that really want these first party games that are coming out. The Zeldas, the Marios, the Pokemon when that comes out, the Metroid when that comes out. But once that particular well dries up. Yeah. Once that well of customers dries up, I think they're going to struggle selling Switches, because the people that have it or that wanted it already have it, and nobody's going to really take a look at the Switch as their primary console.
Right. I agree with that 100%. But yeah, let us know what you guys think on this topic or any of the stories that we talked about. As far as that, we're actually going to go into our next segment, which is our final thoughts. And we're just going to go through the stories that we talked about today and kind of just give our final 2 cents on each of them. Starting with LA Noire. I think I'll take this one. I'll go first. The Switch. I mean, we've talked about the Switch enough today. But they definitely have some glaring, some very, very, impactful issues that people are kind of just like glancing over. Like, people are not addressing these issues as much as I think they should be. And, 32 gigs of internal memory is definitely an issue. So I can't really blame LA Noire for, making you require an SD card, because LA Noire is a massive game. And it needs space, and like to say, oh well, you didn't pay Nintendo more money to port your game over to that. Like, no, I'm not going to do that, because this might not even sell. So I mean, that's enough on Nintendo. But the Switch has issues that need to be addressed. The Xbox One supporting 1440p on monitors natively. I mean, that's a neat little. I mean, that's a cool, awesome feature. Something that you would expect from the world's most powerful console, because that's how they're marketing. I saw a commercial yesterday, the world's most powerful console. Like, oh shit, all right, fine.
Fuck you, Best Buy.
Yeah, Best Buy. PUBG, that thing needs to come out ASAP if they want to retain or keep their momentum going. Mm-hmm. And they're definitely gonna want to come out on as many consoles as possible. If they can get it out on the PlayStation, which probably won't even happen soon, because I believe they probably signed a deal with Microsoft to get it the timed exclusive.
Right.
That's not going to do anything except hurt their momentum because Fortnite is killing it out here. So they definitely got some catching up to do on the console side. The pre-order release codes for Sonic Forces. I mean, I'm gonna withhold my opinion on the game until I play it. But we'll see. I'll fill you in next week on what I think of Sonic Forces, and whether or not this was justified or not. The games that were shown off and announced at Paris Games Week. I mean, this was awesome. I mean, they showed a lot of awesome things, a lot of things that I'm pretty excited for. A lot of indies that I didn't think would get sequels are getting sequels, and this is not a bad thing. I'm actually pretty excited for Splunky 2 and Guacamelee 2, two of my favorite indie games. One from the previous generation, and one from I think it was literally the first game that I ever had on the Xbox One. Was Guacamelee, so I'm really excited for that. So that's really cool. And some of the updates that they showed us, like the God of War, Last of Us, because we hadn't seen anything on Last of Us 2 since the announcement.
Yeah, the guitar. That's it.
So this was definitely
brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal, but it was definitely a pleasant surprise. I was glad to see more of it, and I cannot wait to play that game. That's going to be a good one. EA stepping back from the Switch. I mean, we talked about the Switch enough today. I think it's obvious why they would step back. So I'm not even going to address that further. The PS Plus games for November, kind of it's a miss. I'm not going to download any of them. But if you haven't played Worms, I can say that that's a fun game. I will recommend that out of all of the games that we talked about for that. Battlefront 2 loot boxes. I mean, something's going to have to change really soon because these companies, they want your money and they're going to do everything that they can to get it. And the only way that they're going to listen to you is if you stop
spending. If
you stop pulling out that wallet, man. Put that wallet away. Stop giving them money. Stop giving them money, and they'll do something. They'll change the way they get it.
Right.
So they're not gonna fix what ain't broke. And loot boxes is not a broken system as far as getting them money. So they're gonna keep doing it. As far as the news out of BlizzCon, the new character for Overwatch, she looks cool. Myra.
Yeah, I must say Myra. I didn't hear. I haven't heard it pronounced. Like I said, I have anecdotal reason for calling her. One of my daughter's friends is she spells her name that way, and they call her Myra. So that's why I call it. Yeah, Myra.
So it looks cool. Just another reason why I need to get back on that game. The new map looks cool.
You haven't even played Junkertown. You're behind.
I'm so far behind. Maybe I'll play this weekend. We'll see. I'm not gonna play. World of Warcraft Classic. That's actually a really cool concept. And it just goes to show you that, with enough love and support for any particular game, companies that care will go out of their way to make you happy. Because last week we talked about the fact that who was it? EA. They shut down the Battlefield servers.
The Battlefield servers, Battlefield 2, 2142, and Battlefield Heroes.
Yeah, they shut down those servers. So I don't know. Maybe it's because they're gonna make something out of it. We can only hope.
It's possible.
It's very. Yeah.
That seems to be the thing now. Just bringing back a bunch of old games because it doesn't cost a lot of money. Right?
It doesn't cost a lot of money. So yeah, that was nothing but a good thing. And StarCraft 2 going free to play. I don't really have an opinion on it either way because I'm not a fan of StarCraft 2. So I'm not really sure how the general populace thinks about that. But I mean, I don't know.
It'll get people into it. It'll
definitely get more people into it. Yeah,
right.
Definitely
increase the player base.
Yeah. So those are my final thoughts. What about you?
Okay, so the LA Noire micro SD card on the Switch. I think again Nintendo releasing a 32 gigabyte storage space on that thing is a huge mistake. LA Noire is not the first, and is certainly not going to be the last.
Yep, not going to be the last.
And it can be to the detriment of Nintendo's Switch owners at the very least, and maybe the Nintendo Switch itself. You hit it right on the head as far as the support for the 1440p monitors. It is the most powerful console system, but the thing is, the 1440 is an odd. It is an odd resolution or format, monitor format. So for them to support it natively out of the box, that's actually really nice. There's a lot of things that don't support it, and there's graphics cards that have a hard time supporting it. So that's kind of cool. PUBG, like you said, it need to be November 12th, not December 12th, because by the time it comes out, at this point, by the time it comes out, there may be a million concurrent Fortnite users, and now you're playing catch up. Now you are gangbusters on the PC with, I think, up to 2.2 million concurrent users was the last count, like high count.
Yeah.
But yeah, move quicker.
Yeah.
the pre-release codes for Sonic, I don't have an issue with it. There's many others that don't give out pre-release codes. They seem to have a good reason considering day one patches, and we've seen in the past where a game that needed a day one patch got destroyed in the reviews because of an error that they fixed at release. And the problem with that is once it's seen, it can't be unseen.
Right.
Sony's announcements at Paris Game Week, I thought they were super interesting. I like that they pushed more towards the indie. We're seeing that a lot. We saw it with Microsoft at E3. We're seeing it with Sony now. Guacamelee 2 stoked some interest. Spelunky 2, I didn't play Spelunky. I did like what I saw with Last of Us. I like the Marvel Spider-Man trailer. I'm interested in the new, I keep forgetting their name. The infamous
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. I'm interested in what Sucker Punch is working on. But yeah, they showed a lot. I'm interested in what Sony is. I haven't touched my PlayStation Pro probably in 2 months now.
Yeah.
It's actually
been a while.
It's actually powered completely off. I probably should power it on. It probably has a couple of updates.
Mad updates, my boy.
EA stepping back from Switch. Again, it makes sense. We don't get to see these numbers, but it's evident that FIFA didn't do well, and is part of the problem with FIFA, especially with FIFA. FIFA is definitely an online game, and Nintendo's or the Switch's lack of online play is harmful.
Yeah.
The free PS Plus games, meh. I mean, Sony, you get a pass because the past 3-4 months you've been on point. So these games I have zero interest in. The Battlefront 2 loot boxes, like you said, speak with your wallets, and not just don't buy the loot boxes. When you start seeing these games with these abusive loot box systems, don't buy the game. And eventually they'll stop. They'll figure out, well, they're not buying the game because they don't like us implementing these loot boxes, and they'll stop. Out of BlizzCon, I'm excited for the new hero, new map in Overwatch. I still get down on some Overwatch. I play mostly on Xbox One. I don't like the PlayStation controller. Period. The World of Warcraft Classic, that's cool. It's definitely it's a good way to actually get people into World of Warcraft without having to deal with the millions of expansions they have. You can just get in vanilla Warcraft, play around, figure it out, level up, and decide. Make a very informed decision if you want to continue on with that. StarCraft 2 going free to play, like I was saying, it's just a way for them to expand the player base. StarCraft 2 is still wildly popular. It's still a wildly popular competitive game, so that's cool. And then a lot of the other stuff out of BlizzCon as far as the skins and the Hearthstone expansion pack and that type of stuff. Yeah, BlizzCon was pretty successful this year.
Oh, yeah.
It's been the past few years.
Yeah. Like we said, like they don't have a lot of games, but the ones that they have, top notch. They take care of their player base. But exactly. Yeah, that was our final thoughts on the stories that were discussed today. Let us know what you think. Again, I'm going to harp on that. We are on Twitter. We are at AWGamingNS. You can also catch us on Facebook, a weekly gaming news show, or you can use the call letters AWGNS. Hit us up on YouTube as well, because we post other videos like Boogie's 10 and 10 and my first impressions videos. So look forward to more of that. Definitely go ahead and subscribe. We're still working on getting our first 100, and we plan on doing something special for you guys once we get there. So make sure that you subscribe and let us know how we're doing. Check out some of our other videos as well. What else? Yeah, if you're listening to us, if you're taking us on the go, we definitely want to thank you. But in case you don't know exactly where you can listen to us, Boogie, go ahead and let them know.
Okay, so we are in the general podcasting directory. So whatever podcatcher or podcasting app you're using, you should be able to find us using our call letters AWGNS or a weekly gaming news show. We are also on iTunes, Google Play, and TuneIn Radio.
Right, and our current schedule, unless like mayhem goes down, is every Sunday we go live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the show uploads to YouTube and to the podcasting directory on Monday at noon. So you can catch us every single week, and the 10 and 10 goes up every Saturday at noon.
Yep, and the 10 and 10 it takes a 10-minute or less. Is usually it averages around about 6.5, 7 minutes, and basically it's a rundown of the headlines and a lot of them are what we go over on the long form show on Sundays. Yeah.
So if you don't have an hour and a half to sit down with us, you can definitely get us in 10 minutes or less. So definitely check those out. But I think that's going to end it for this week's show. Yeah, we had fun. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all for tuning in. We definitely appreciate you. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. This has been a weekly gaming news show for the week ending in November the 4th. Am I right there?
Yeah. Okay. Weekend in November 4th. Yeah, because today is the 7th.
Yeah,
it's a whole new news cycle. There's a lot of news too.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's been hard to like reel in some of the news that has happened this week. But yeah, we'll see you guys this upcoming Sunday. So look forward to it. Make a note of it. And yeah, my name is Trenell.
I'm Todd.
We will catch you guys next week. Peace.